Welcome to Mind Set in Stone podcasts, where we dive deep into the most compelling books on the shelf. Join hosts Dave and Poppy as they uncover the stories, themes, and ideas that shape our understanding and inspire curiosity. Get ready to explore the big ideas that leave a lasting impact. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Mind Set in Stone podcast.
So glad to be here for this one.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good one. So today our mission is to basically fundamentally rewire how you approach problems.
Right. Like obstacles, big dreams, all that stuff.
Exactly. We are doing a deep dive into a stack of excerpts from Marie Forleo's book, Everything Is Figureoutable.
Which is such a great title, by the way.
It really is. And I want to set the tone right away for you listening. This is not just some fluffy, motivational pep talk.
Oh, no, not at all.
This is a highly practical cognitive toolkit.
Yeah, we are going to look way past the sort of sheer inspiration of the premise, and we're drilling down into the actual psychology of belief.
Right.
We're going to examine the mechanics of habit change, the neurological filters in our brains, and honestly, the really uncomfortable reasons we hold ourselves back.
Super uncomfortable.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is really about identifying those invisible scripts running in your subconscious.
And then actually actively rewriting them. So whether you are, commuting right now trying to figure out how to launch a business, or maybe you're just doing the dishes wondering how to fix a broken relationship.
Or just trying to get your daily routine under control.
Right. This deep dive is custom tailored to help you essentially get out of your own way. And I think we have to start with the origin story of this whole philosophy. The Tropicana orange radio.
Oh man, the plastic orange radio. It's such a perfect image.
It really is. So picture a tiny plastic transistor radio shaped like an orange, complete with a little red and white striped straw antenna.
Not exactly high-tech.
No, not at all. But in the pre-internet 1980s, that little radio was basically the soundtrack to Marie Forleo's mother doing some crazy things.
Like completely rebuilding the plumbing in her house.
Yes, with zero prior experience, just elbows deep in pipes.
And you have to remember her mom's background. She grew up in the projects in Newark, New Jersey.
Right. Daughter of two alcoholic parents.
Yeah, so she was this fiercely resourceful woman who learned how to stretch a dollar bill purely out of survival necessity.
Which is where she got the radio in the first place, right? She saved up proofs of purchase from Tropicana orange juice.
Exactly. It was literally a physical manifestation of her ability to just manifest value out of scraps.
Right. And Marie tells this story where she'd hear that tinny music playing and she'd find her mom up on the roof of their two-story house.
Just fixing a leak herself.
Because a roofer quoted her $500 and she thought that was, quote, friggin' nuts.
Which it was back then. And keep in mind, this is before YouTube.
Oh, totally. No step-by-step tutorials.
And Google. If you didn't know how to do something, you had to go to the library or just take things apart and use sheer cognitive tenacity.
Which brings us to the pivotal moment. Marie comes home. The house is completely dark. No radio playing.
Silence is ominous.
Right. She walks into the kitchen, and her mom is hunched over the table like a surgeon. The prized orange radio is in 100 tiny pieces.
And Marie panics.
Totally panics. Thinks it's broken forever. But her mom just looks up, super calm, and says, nothing in life is that complicated. You can do whatever you set your mind to if you just roll up your sleeves and do it. Everything is figureoutable.
Boom. There it is.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating here is how that single sentence, everything is figureoutable, isn't just a catchy phrase.
Right. It's not just a coffee mug slogan.
In cognitive psychology, it operates as what we call a meta-belief.
Okay, break that down for us.
Basically, it is the master algorithm of your brain. It dictates how all your other beliefs are formed. Yeah, the text outlines this clear formula used in cognitive behavioral therapy. Belief leads to thought. Thought leads to feeling. Feeling leads to behavior, and behavior leads to results.
Okay, let's unpack this, because this cascade effect is really where the magic happens.
It really is.
So if I have this underlying belief that I am just inherently terrible at public speaking...
Which so many people do.
Right. The second my boss asks me to present a deck, my thoughts are instantly catastrophic.
Like, I'm going to fail, my voice will shake, they'll know I'm a fraud.
Exactly. And those specific thoughts create a real physiological feeling. And anxiety, right? Cortisol spikes, my chest gets tight.
And then that feeling dictates your behavior.
Right. So I avoid practicing, I procrastinate, and when I finally do it, I rush through it.
And the result is a terrible presentation.
Which perfectly reinforces the original belief. It's a closed loop.
Precisely. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy orchestrated by your own nervous system. Your beliefs are the track for the train of your life. But if you adopt to the meta-belief that everything is figure-outable, you completely alter the starting point.
So if you lose a major client, your thought isn't, I'm ruined, it's, how do I solve this puzzle?
Right. And that leads to feelings of determination, not despair, which leads to proactive behavior.
But the text does give us 3 rules of play just to keep this grounded in reality, right? Sheer delusion.
Yeah, we need a mental container for this.
So rule 1, all problems or dreams are figure-outable. Rule 2, if it isn't figure-outable, it's a fact of life or a law of nature, like gravity or death.
You can't figure out how to flap your arms and fly to the moon.
Right. And rule 3, you may simply not care enough to figure it out, which is fine. Find another dream.
Being honest about what you actually care about is huge.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit more. Isn't this just toxic positivity repackaged? I mean, what if someone is dealing with systemic issues, deep poverty or grief or a chronic illness?
Right.
Telling them, hey, everything is figure-outable, that feels incredibly dismissive, doesn't it?
It's an essential question. And it's where this transitions from self-help fluff to profound psychological resilience. The concept is absolutely not about ignoring pain or pretending systemic barriers don't exist.
It's not a fake smile.
No. It is about focusing strictly on your locus of control. You can't control the economy or a sudden illness, but you always retain control over your effort, your response, and your attitude.
It really reminds me of Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning.
Yes. Frankl survived the Holocaust, and he observed that even in a concentration camp where every freedom is stripped away, humans retain one final freedom.
The ability to choose your attitude.
Exactly. Everything is figure-outable is a tool for surviving reality. It's saying this systemic barrier is unfair. Now, what is my next best move within this reality?
It's the ultimate pivot from passive victimhood to active agency. You acknowledge the wall, but you don't just sit down to die in front of it.
You look for a way over or around or through.
Which brings us to the first enemies you face when you adopt this belief. And they're all internal. The text highlights language as a weapon, specifically the difference between the words can't and won't.
Linguistic determinism is very real. The words we use actually shape our cognitive reality.
Right. We use can't all the time. I can't work out. I can't find time to write.
But 99% of the time, can't is just a polite euphemism for won't. When you say I can't, you give your power to an outside circumstance. You become a helpless victim of the universe.
I see this in myself. If a friend invites me to an event and I say I can't make it, I'm pretending my schedule is the boss of me.
Right, like your hands are off this steering wheel.
But if I say I won't make it, suddenly I am the boss. I'm choosing to stay home and protect my energy.
It completely removes the guilt and replaces it with ownership. This is actually a great practical takeaway for the listener. Just for 1 week, try swapping the word can't for won't in your daily conversations.
Yeah, just see how it feels. It takes away your alibi.
Which is uncomfortable. Taking 100% responsibility for your life is tough.
Especially when it comes to the biggest excuse of all, the time excuse. I don't have time.
We all say it. But the harsh truth in the book is, you don't have to do anything. Everything is a choice.
Even taxes. You choose to pay them because you prefer it over prison.
Exactly. You choose to watch 3 hours of streaming television because it's easier than facing a blank page.
Which leads to another huge practical takeaway from the book, the 7-day time audit.
But so necessary.
You literally track every minute of your day for a week. No estimating. Raw data. And the math is staggering.
It is. If you look at standard screen time reports, people easily spend 2 hours a day just passively scrolling social media. If you take just 2 hours a day over a year, that's 730 hours. Spending 2 hours a day on your phone equals a full-time 40-hour-a-week job for 3 months out of the year.
That makes me physically ill. But we don't do it because we're bad at math. We do it because of cognitive exhaustion, right? Escapism.
Yes. The brain is an energy-saving machine. Social media gives variable dopamine rewards with zero cognitive effort.
It numbs the anxiety of the hard work we know we should be doing.
It's an emotional management problem, not a time management problem. Every time you say yes to the distraction, you implicitly say no to your biggest dreams.
But what about the person listening right now who says, no, seriously, I am a single parent working 2 jobs. I genuinely do not have 2 hours a day.
The book introduces a brilliant hypothetical for that, the doctor scenario.
I love this one.
Imagine your doctor calls right now. You have a rare condition, and the only way to survive is to sit quietly for 2 hours every day and do a breathing exercise. If you miss a day, you die. Would you suddenly find the 2 hours?
Instantly, I would find it today.
You would figure it out. You'd ask a neighbor to watch the kids, sleep less, eat while doing the breathing. The time materializes because the priority shifted to life or death.
It proves the constraint isn't time, it's how much you actually value the goal.
It's all opportunity cost. And the same goes for money and knowledge excuses.
Right, like I don't have seed money or I don't know how to code.
Tony Robbins says it best. It's never about your resources, it's about your resourcefulness.
You'll find a way to bootstrap, you'll barter. So once you strip away all those logistical excuses, you are left standing completely naked in front of your goal.
And that's when the pure fear hits you.
But how do we know if it's irrational fear or our genuine biological intuition telling us something is a bad idea?
This is such an important distinction.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The text argues that the cognitive brain lies, but the physical body tells the truth.
The somatic markers are totally different.
Right. Fear feels physically restrictive, heavy, suffocating. It makes your body want to shrink and hide.
Intuition operates on a different frequency. Even when your intuition is screaming at you to walk away from a toxic project, it feels expansive. It's a quiet, grounded clarity. The prefrontal cortex calmly stating, don't do it because it violates your values. Not the amygdala screaming, don't do it because you might look stupid.
The difference between shrinking and centering. And to deal with that restrictive, heavy fear, there's an amazing CBT technique.
Because our brains are meaning-making machines.
Right. Your heart rate accelerates and your brain instantly slaps the label on it. Terror, panic.
But neurobiologically, fear and excitement are almost identical sensations in the sympathetic nervous system.
It's just the label we attach to it. So here's another great takeaway for you listening. Rename the physical sensation.
Cognitive diffusion.
Give it a silly, absurd name. Don't say, I am absolutely terrified to launch this app. Say, oh, I've got a bad case of the shushies today.
Or my noonie's really acting up. It sounds ridiculous, but it instantly detaches your identity from the catastrophic narrative.
You stop being the fear and you just observe it. You chuckle at the absurd name and step forward anyway.
It completely defangs the monster. And so does worst-case scenario planning.
Very similar to Tim Ferriss's fear setting.
You literally write down the absolute worst case scenario. You lose your investment, bruise your ego. You realize it is highly survivable. It's a paper tiger.
You can recover from a bruised ego. So once you've befriended the fear, you have to define the dream. Wishy-washy goals guarantee wishy-washy results.
You have to get hyper-specific because of the reticular activating system, the RAS.
Explain the neuroscience behind this.
The RAS is a network of neurons at the base of the brainstem. It operates as a biological spam filter.
Because we are bombarded with millions of bits of information every second.
11 million bits per second. Sights, sounds, smells. If your conscious brain processed it all, you would crash. So the RAS filters out 99.9% of it.
It only lets through what it thinks is vital.
Exactly. And this is why when you decide you want to buy a red Honda Civic, suddenly you see red Honda Civics everywhere.
You didn't multiply. They were always there. Your RAS just changed its algorithm.
So when you make a hyper-specific goal, your RAS acts like a homing pigeon. Suddenly you start noticing resources and opportunities that were always right in front of you.
You literally program your brain to hunt for the how, but knowing the how doesn't mean you'll feel ready.
Oh, the illusion of readiness.
Marie tells this story of sitting on her air mattress, agonizing over auditioning to teach a hip-hop class at a high-end gym. She felt totally unqualified.
What's fascinating here is how insidious that inner voice is. I'm not ready yet. Disguises fear as pure logic.
Oh, I just need to do more research. I need one more certification.
But readiness is a complete illusion. You cannot think your way into a new career. You have to do your way into it.
Action generates clarity. You don't get clarity staring at the ceiling. You get it by walking into the room, falling on your face, and seeing what happens.
You must start before you feel ready.
And if you're paralyzed, you need another practical tool. Skin in the game.
Loss aversion is incredibly powerful.
Yes, like using an accountability app. Beeminder is a great example. You pledge $50 to hit your daily word count. If you fail, the app donates your money to an anti-charity.
A cause you absolutely hate.
The ultimate motivation. You don't want to fund your worst ideological enemy just because you chose to watch Netflix.
Kahneman and Tversky proved this in behavioral economics. Humans are far more motivated to avoid losing something then we are to gain something.
Losing $50 feels twice as painful as finding $50 feels good. But wait, doesn't that just create a trauma bond with your goals?
That is a very valid critique.
Right. Writing out of terror seems like a fast track to burnout.
If you live in that state forever, yes. But it's not for long-term maintenance. It's for ignition.
Oh, okay, like booster rockets.
Exactly. Booster rockets burn violently just to break the atmosphere. Once you're in orbit, the habit is established, you drop the rockets. You don't need the anti-charity anymore.
That makes so much sense. It's the spark plug. And there's another tool to bypass fear for big life choices, the 10-year test.
Another great takeaway. When paralyzed by a decision, project yourself 10 years into the future.
And ask, 10 years from now, will I regret not doing this?
It hacks hyperbolic discounting. We naturally avoid present pain, even if it guarantees future suffering. This makes the future pain tangible now.
Jim Rohn said it best. We all suffer one of two pains. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons.
Beautifully said.
So you start before you're ready. But the second you start producing work, you hit the wall of perfectionism.
People love to humble brag about perfectionism. Oh, I'm just too much of a perfectionist.
Like it's a sign of high standards.
But true perfectionism is just driven by a profound fear of not being good enough. It's a defense mechanism to avoid judgment.
It's armor. If my podcast is flawless, no one can criticize me. But the cost of that armor is total paralysis.
Marie tells a super vulnerable story about this. Her first live coaching workshop. She rented a space, set up chairs, and only 5 people showed up.
And 3 were her close friends.
She could have let perfectionism shut her down. Said, this isn't a stadium, I'm a failure. But she delivered it anyway.
So what does this all mean? It means starting small and sucky beats staying stucky.
And to contextualize why bad early work feels so painful, the text references Ira Glass, the gap. When you start something, you have killer taste. You know what a good podcast sounds like, but your actual abilities don't match your taste.
There is a gaping chasm between what you want to create and what you actually produce. I remember listening to my first deep dive audio years ago.
Was it rough?
It sounded like a nervous teenager reading a textbook hostage note. It was physically painful. And that's why people quit.
They think it means they don't have talent. But Ira Glass says the only way to close that gap is by producing a massive volume of work.
You have to aggressively fight through the phase of making bad work,
which requires rewiring how we view failure. This brings in Dr. Carol Dweck's research on the growth mindset.
Break that down for us.
In a fixed mindset, you believe talent is innate. If you fail, it means you are stupid. Your worth is destroyed.
But in a growth mindset, you believe abilities are developed through effort.
Yes. So failure is just neutral data. It just tells you that specific approach didn't work. Tweak the variables.
And the book gives us a magical linguistic hack for this, another actionable takeaway. Just add the word yet.
The power of yet is profound. It taps into neuroplasticity.
If I say, I don't know how to run a business, that's a fixed fact, case closed. But if I say, I don't know how to run a business yet,
it opens a back door in your subconscious. It acknowledges your reality without condemning your future.
I am not good with money yet. It implies mastery is inevitable if you keep working.
But there's a huge caveat. Positive quitting.
Right. Because having a figure-outable mindset doesn't mean blind stubbornness.
If you realize the goal no longer aligns with your values, quitting isn't failure. If the ladder is leaning against the wrong wall, climbing off is an act of strategic progress.
Quitting because it's hard is a failure of resilience. Quitting because it's wrong for you is a triumph of self-awareness.
Perfect distinction.
Okay, so you're making progress, but eventually you face massive external resistance, gatekeepers, rejection.
And this requires refusing to be refused.
The story of Lima Gbowee is just awe-inspiring here. She was a social worker in Liberia during a brutal civil war. Warlords, child soldiers, just unspeakable atrocities.
Talk about defying the figure-outable mindset. She had no money, no political power, in a deeply patriarchal society.
The ultimate systemic barriers. The gatekeepers literally had guns, but she refused to be refused. She started impossibly small, gathering women in a church to pray.
And that grew into the Liberian Mass Action for Peace, Christian and Muslim women uniting.
They staged massive nonviolent protests in the fish markets. They forced a meeting with the dictator, Charles Taylor.
And when peace talks stalled in Ghana, she and her coalition physically barricaded the doors of the hall, locked arms, and refused to let the warlords leave until a treaty was signed.
She bypassed the traditional rules because the rules were designed to exclude her, and she won the Nobel Peace Prize.
When you face resistance, You cannot accept defeat as the final answer. If the front door is locked, check the back door.
Try the window, climb down the chimney. It's a cognitive muscle.
But sometimes the resistance is internal even after you succeed. You get the funding, the job, and then imposter syndrome hits.
Oh man, sitting at the boardroom table feeling like a total fraud. Terrified security is going to tap your shoulder and say there's been a mistake.
Imposter syndrome disproportionately affects high achievers. The more you know, the more you realize what you don't know.
So what's the practical tool to combat this one?
The hype file.
I actually use this.
It's fantastic. You create a physical or digital folder of objective evidence of your competence. Positive emails, performance awards, past wins.
I have a folder on my phone called Rainy Day, screenshots of nice listener messages. When I spiral, looking at that data is a total pattern interrupt.
It uses concrete evidence to override the emotional spiraling. But there is another framework for performance anxiety that is absolute genius, the flashlight analogy. Imagine your conscious attention is a literal beam of light from a flashlight. When you feel imposter syndrome, where's that flashlight pointed?
Right at my own ego. How do I look? Am I sounding smart?
Exactly. You are consumed by self-consciousness. But the moment you point the flashlight outward toward your audience, your customer, the fear vanishes.
Because your monologue shifts to, what do they need right now? How can I serve them?
Empathy is the ultimate antidote to anxiety. There is no cognitive bandwidth left for self-doubt when you're focused on service.
It's a shift from self-centric to service-centric, which leads us perfectly into the sobering research near the end of the text, Bronnie Ware's work.
The palliative care nurse. She spent years with patients in the final weeks of their lives, recording their biggest regrets.
And the number one regret across all demographics was, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me.
I wish I had. The most haunting words you can say on your deathbed.
It frames everything in life or death terms. The ultimate consequence of not adopting this mindset isn't that you might try and fail. It's the irreversible pain of a life unlived.
You played it perfectly safe, and it cost you your soul's true expression. You survived, but you didn't live.
Hyperbolic discounting tricks us into thinking we have endless tomorrows. We don't. The pain of looking stupid today is nothing compared to the weight of regret at the end.
It's a stark reminder.
It really is. So as we bring this deep dive to a close, let's just quickly trace this incredible cognitive journey. We started with the Tropicana orange, realizing beliefs dictate reality.
We adopted the meta-belief, everything is figureoutable.
We annihilated excuses by swapping can't for won't and did the time audit. We befriended the restrictive heavy fear by naming it the shushi.
We programmed the RAS with specific goals. We learned to start before we're ready because readiness is an illusion.
We used loss aversion to break inertia. We bridged the gap through sheer volume, not perfection, and used the power of yet.
And we learned to refuse to be refused and point our flashlight outward to conquer imposter syndrome.
Which brings us to the final provocative thought. I want you, listening right now, to really let this sink in. We worry so much about what we will lose if we try and fail, but what if your unfulfilled dream isn't just a personal tragedy?
This is a staggering shift.
What if your refusal to step into the arena is an actual deprivation for someone else? What if there is a specific person out there who desperately needs the exact solution or art or community that you are currently too afraid to create?
Your success is not just about your personal ego, it is a communal necessity. By holding back, you rob others of the healing or joy only you can provide.
Your specific voice cannot be replicated. If you don't build it, it goes unbuilt forever.
It's a heavy, inspiring responsibility.
And to help you tap into that urgency, we have one final listener challenge for you today. Take 15 minutes, silence your phone, and do the 100-year-old self exercise.
It's a practice in temporal distancing. Grab a pen. Imagine you are your 100-year-old self sitting on a porch, looking back at your long life.
Tap into that perspective and peace, and write a letter to your current stressed-out self. Start with, I would love you to know that, and just keep writing.
Don't edit. Just let your intuition speak about what truly matters and what petty fears you urgently need to drop.
It is a profoundly moving exercise. We want to thank you so much for joining us on this journey today. You have the cognitive tools now. You understand your resistance. The locked door in front of you isn't locked from the outside. The key is in your pocket. You have exactly what it takes. Now go figure it out. Thank you for tuning in to the Mindset in Stone podcast.
We hope you're leaving with fresh insights and a spark of inspiration. Remember to subscribe, leave a review, and check back for more episodes as we dive into new worlds of thought, one book at a time. Until then, keep your mind set in stone and your curiosity open. This has been a Big L Riz Media podcast, where big ideas meet lasting impressions.